Welcome to episode 65 of the Valley Sports Talk podcast. We are back for another week. This week, round 2 of the NHL playoffs has started. So most games are already 2 games in, I believe, except for one.
Carolina plays game 2 tonight,
Yeah.
and Edmonton's only played one.
Oh, yeah. So 2 of the 4 series have played one game or 2 games. But we made our predictions before we record this. We're recording this on Friday, May 5th. If you guys are seeing this at 3, it means I did a really good job of editing this and getting it up quickly. So who knows? But as you can see, I'm in a new spot. Brandon's boring.
I sold
He did sell. He lied. So
next time.
L's for Brandon. But yeah,
Next time. It's 1-0 you right now. I'll take 1-0.
he's taking a 1-0 me. But anyways, yeah, we'll jump right into it and talk about some NHL. Oh, first of all, the Leafs. Got to talk about your Leafs. They're in the
Oh
second
God.
round. What are your
I
initial
know it's crazy.
thoughts?
Let's go, boys. Let's go. I obviously am not happy right now, but that moving on is insane. I mean, I was nuts. I think I probably got a couple of noise complaints. I scared my dog. Um, it was crazy. It was a really intense game. Game 6 was probably the best game of the series by far. 1-1 going into overtime. Even though it was 1-1, it was super exciting. Lots of scoring chances, but damn, they beat Tampa. It's possible.
hmm
But the first round of playoffs, so many disappoint. It's been such a cool like playoffs so far. We got so many upsets. The road teams are dominating right now. I mean, now with the competition as even as it's ever been, I think this is going to start to be a lot more normal. It's
hmm
cool to watch.
Yeah, so
Like
we'll
if you had to make your power rankings at the beginning, like 1 to 16, like Florida and Seattle would have been in your bottom 3 probably.
based off just like record wise and what they did in the regular season, yeah.
That's what I mean, and they're both in the second round right now.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty crazy. We'll recap quickly what we did. So I got everything right, but the Seattle over Avalanche, LA Oilers over LA, and then the Rangers over the Devils.
So you got 3 wrong.
I got 3 wrong.
I got Boston wrong. I got New York wrong. I
You got the
got
Islanders.
the Islanders wrong. So I got one series in the East right out of 4. I got Seattle wrong. I got Minnesota wrong.
Yikes.
Uh, and the other 2 I got right.
You got 3
So
right. I
yeah,
got 3
I
wrong.
got 3 out of 8.
That's
3 out of 8.
a fail in my
It is
books.
what it is. Yeah, that's bad.
Moving on.
That's
We'll talk about the second round. Obviously, this field got shrunk in half. The teams remaining are the Panthers, Leafs, Kraken, Stars, Devils, Hurricanes, Oilers, and Golden Knights. Um, we'll talk about the 2 series that already have done 2 games. So Florida takes 2 in Toronto and sort of shushes that Maple Leafs crowd after they were so excited after winning their first round in 19 years. I've had the Leafs in 6 at the start of the series.
so
But
did I.
the only way that happens is if the Leafs win 4 straight, which I think is doable. I think they've sort of outplayed Florida for the majority of this series. The Leafs have had their sort of um, patches where they make a mistake and Florida capitalizes on that mistake. But I think for the most part of the series, Toronto has been the better team. They just sort of got unlucky, and Bobrovsky sort of turned into 2019 Bobrovsky, which is good to see for him. But obviously, as a Leafs fan, not very good to see if you, obviously, like I said, if you're a Leafs fan. But I'm still gonna stick to the Leafs in 6. I think they can win 4 straight.
I definitely think the Leafs can win 4 straight too. I mean, they're perfect on the road. I don't know why they can't win in Toronto. They're 1-3 in Toronto in this playoff run so far, but um, they're definitely still in this one.
Wouldn't they be 1-4 after last night?
No, or yeah,
Yeah, yeah. You're no 1-3. They split. They split the first. first round. So you're right, 1-3.
They've played 5 games at home, so they're
And then
1-4.
yeah.
1-4 in Toronto, which is insane because they were an amazing home team in the regular season. But um, I mean, yeah, I think it's still doable. I think they have been the better team in both games. Um, I think this kind of style matches for the Leafs. Like against Tampa, it was grind hockey where there's just been a lot of action constantly in both these games. Like there's a lot of open space, and it's high speed. It's a completely different series than the Tampa one. I think where the Leafs are running into problems is when Tampa dumps it into Toronto's zone. Once Toronto has possession of the puck, they don't seem to have too much of a problem with it, but getting it out of their own zone has been the biggest problem with them this series, and I wouldn't even say put that on the defense. Like, sure, it starts with them, but I've saw multiple times in game one and game two the defense gets it to the winger or the centerman and they try and do a nifty little move at their own blue line, lose the puck. Like it's every single player right now is having problems getting out of their own end. Samsonov has looked great. Bobrovsky has looked even better. Um, he's back to that Tampa Bay Columbus Blue Jackets series, which is kind of scary because he can win that series by himself. So I'm hoping they can find a way to beat him soon. But yeah, I think it's still doable. It's probably gonna have to go 7 though, unfortunately, for that to be the case.
um yeah, like you mentioned, there's a lot of open space. I noticed that too. I feel like this sort of leads to my next point that there's a lot of like 2 of the 3 goals last night were off of really bad turnovers, which I think the
Yeah.
Leafs aren't accustomed to after that first round where it was a very tight series. There wasn't as many mistakes. So I think now that this series has sort of opened up and there's a lot more open space, Florida's like a run and gun, free-willing, open team. I think the Leafs sort of have to adapt to that. Like there's on the one Forsling goal, a really bad turnover by Matthews at the blue line. I just don't think that's something that he was really used to in that first round, which led to those turnovers. Not saying that's an excuse for a player like that to have that big of a turnover, but I think it's sort of the Leafs aren't used to a run and gun open team. They're used to a more lock it down team like Tampa.
No, you're not wrong, but they definitely threw game two away. Like you got it, like you said, that might be the series is totally different, but as a team in the playoffs, you don't have a lot of time. You gotta make that adjustment between game one and game two. You know it's coming again. And to be up 2-0 5 minutes into that hockey game, you gotta win. You gotta win that game.
No, no joke. No kidding. Moving on to the next series, we have the Kraken and the Stars, which is currently tied 1-1. Seattle stole game one. And a lot of people started jumping on the Seattle bandwagon, like, oh, they got a horse whip their ass. But then Dallas looked pretty dominant last night, winning 4-2. At the start, I had Dallas in 6 again. I definitely think that's still doable. I think they're the better team. They just sort of got caught in number one, maybe playing a bit laid back, thinking, oh, these guys are tired. They went to 7. But I think they sort of woke up, and I feel like Joe Pavelski had to rip into his team after that game one performance, 4 goals, and they still lose the game. Oldest player to ever score 4 goals in a playoff hockey game. But yeah, like I said, they bounced back last night, and they looked like the pretty dominant team in the game last night, from what I saw.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, we'll get into it later, but two players in back-to-back nights score 4 goals and both times they lose. But I mean, just bringing Joe Pavelski back into the series is huge for Dallas. Obviously, I also had Dallas in 6. Um, I personally just think it's because Jake Ottinger, in my opinion, is the best goalie left in the playoffs. Um, he's playing ridiculous. We've seen him in the playoffs before. Obviously, he was a big reason why the Calgary Flames playoff series last year went 7 games. He was a monster. Um, and if he can play, I mean, he had a shaky game one, but he stepped up in game two. Yeah, Seattle got a big double overtime win, but I do still think Dallas is going to win this series. They look pretty good in game one. Obviously, Joe Pavelski kind of at the front of that, but if Jake Ottinger can settle it back down, I don't see them having a problem here.
I agree.
But we keep underestimating the
We keep
Seattle
underestimating
team, so who
Seattle.
knows?
Maybe if they
Who
win
knows?
this series, maybe in the conference finals, I'll have to take them to go to the
I
Stanley
still
Cup.
won't though because it'll either be Edmonton or Vegas. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
that's very true. Moving on to the other East matchup, we have the Devils and the Hurricanes. Hurricanes sort of took care of business with the Islanders. The Devils obviously dominated that game seven. And let's talk about Akira Schmid first. The rookie goalie. He looks amazing in the net for New Jersey. Do you think he's the goalie of the future there?
Um, I don't want to say yes or no to this question. I'm kind of that's the boring way to go about it, but I mean, we've seen so many instances of goalies having insane playoff runs. Like, I'm just trying to think in like, because I watched the most Toronto games. Like, remember when Toronto played Columbus in the bubble? Corpus or Mrazek was no, sorry, not Mrazek. Merzlikins
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
monster. Like he stole that series, and I mean, he's still an NHL goalie, but not great.
not
Andrew Hammond for the Edmonton Oilers was a
Hammond,
Edmonton
Ottawa.
Ottawa was a complete monster. He's not in the league anymore. He only had that playoff run or the end of the season to get them into the playoffs in the playoff run. So, I mean, I would like to see it. He's shown a lot of flashes, but at the same time, he's had two shutouts in the playoffs, but he's also had like three terrible performances. He kind of goes cold hot, cold hot. So I mean, and he just had another stinker in game one, but which probably means he's gonna have a shutout game too. But
Yeah, he's gonna come out with lights out tonight.
so I don't know. I think he has potential. Obviously, he's made some big stops. I mean, I don't know if you watched Game Seven, Rangers,
So I
New
watched a bit of
Jersey, but
it.
he was. I mean, obviously he got a shutout, but he made some great saves. So I don't know, but I did think they were gonna win this series in six. Um, I think every
You're taking
series
Devils in
goes.
six?
I did think Devils at six, but the way the Hurricanes came out, like, might just have to stop sleeping on it because they lose three offensive weapons and thought that would be the reason that they struggle in the playoffs. But I mean, they put up five. Goal scoring hasn't been their problem, even against the Islanders, who are a great defensive team.
Mm-hmm.
Scoring has not been an issue, and maybe it's just one of them situations where you lose some of your best players, and you're like, we got to step up, and they're stepping up.
No kidding. Yeah. I think, like you said, I think you got to sort of take the performance from Schmid with a grain of salt. Like you said, there's been a lot of um goalies that come in the playoff and just sort of steal a series or two. I think it's sort of like the atmosphere, like they're sort of know what's at stake, so they kind of lock in more, or like they're more focused or something like that. Something along those lines. But like you said, he's young. I think he's only 22, so he has lots of time to develop. Goalies sometimes take longer to develop. And that's the one thing that I think that New Jersey has questions, this goalie situation. So if he can come in and be the starter, and sort of develop his game next year and into the few years, like New Jersey still has a really young team. They're just going to keep getting better, I feel like, in these next couple of years. But like you said, or like unlike you, I am going to go Hurricanes in six. I think like you said, they almost had too much offensive power. So they were maybe like sharing the puck a bit too much whenever they shouldn't have been. I think just losing those guys maybe makes them want to fight for it more, to fight for them. Those guys would obviously love to be out there being Teravainen and Sveshnikov. Um, but I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying maybe the Hurricanes had too much offense, and maybe not losing these two guys, obviously, because they're great players, but like losing them made them go to a more fundamentally based hockey game, which I think is helping them.
I could totally see that, and I mean, also like they probably have the best decor in the NHL, or
Close.
anyways up there. So, I mean, if they're scoring like this, and I mean their defenses keeps playing the way they're playing, they're gonna be tough to stop. That's for sure.
And then the final series, we have the Edmonton Oilers and the Golden Knights. Both teams I had losing in the first round.
I had both of them winning, so I got that. There we go. Two of my three right there. All I'm asking is that this please let this go seven. This is probably the best series of the second round. Um, there's just going to be 40 goals every game in this series. Like we said, Draisaitl scored four. They lose 6-4. Um, it's just it's nuts. There's no defense being played here. It's all offense. Um, both goalies are. I mean, Brossoit is no starting goalie by any means, and Stuart Skinner in the playoffs hasn't looked the greatest. But I mean, before this series started, I had Edmonton in 7. I still think that's possible. Obviously, you don't. It's in Vegas, so if they can take care of business on Saturday night and take one in Vegas, I think they're in good shape. But I think regardless of what happens, there's just going to be a lot of goals scored, and I'm looking forward to it. I was reading something. The playoff goal scoring record in like a playoff run is I think is 19,
What is
and Draisaitl
Drexel?
already has 11.
If
Like
they go deep, there's a chance.
if they go to game 7, there's a chance, and
True.
that's only the second round. Like
Very true.
this is nuts. We're witnessing history here.
Um, Also, I'd hate to put this on you, but they just announced that Matthew Knies will not return the second round.
It makes sense. That looked,
Concussion.
I'm that yeah that was bad. That was bad.
Um,
And then I'm not gonna be one to say he should have got suspended because then people say, you're a Leafs fan, of course he did. But I mean, you're fining him $5,000. Sam Bennett got a $5,000 fine, which is
Not
the
even for that
most.
play.
Was it the cross
It
check?
was the cross check he got fined for.
Either way, all I'm gonna say is $5,000 is him giving you a penny, basically.
Hmm.
And I've seen a lot of videos, and I kind of have to agree, not even Leafs bias. Matthews did the same thing and got 2 games.
The one
That's
thing
all.
that I'm going to say about the debate is that Matthews cocked his back. I feel like
That's true.
it sort of came at him like what quick.
That's true.
That's the one thing I saw different. But yeah, I definitely see where you're
I mean,
coming
a cross check to the head is a cross check to the
from.
head.
Yeah, very fair.
But
Going back
anyways,
to this series, who did you take? I didn't hear it.
Edmonton in 7. I gotta go with the Canadian.
Okay. I'm gonna be very boring. Every single one of my series is going 6 games. I'm going Vegas in 6. They're gonna win at their home game.
You
Also,
think they're winning again on Saturday?
pardon?
You think they're winning on Saturday?
I think Edmonton will tie it up, but
Okay.
then I think uh I think Vegas will then take over. Um, this is a shout out or not a shout out. This is a message to Connor McDavid. You have to do something. You are not being the Connor McDavid we know. If you want to be the best player in the world, you have to step your game up. He only has 3 goals in 7 games, which he had 64 in the regular season. If the Oilers want to go somewhere, Connor McDavid has to do more. People are going to come at me saying, "Oh, he has 12 points in 7 games." Yeah, we expected him to have about 19 points in 7 games right now after the regular season he had. I don't know if teams are just not figuring him out, but are locking him up, getting under his skin. But I don't know if you agree, but I feel like Connor McDavid has to do a bit more than what he's doing for the Oilers to win this series and the Oilers to continue to go deep into this playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Connor McDavid's still putting up over a point a game in the playoffs, but like a lot of them are on the power play, which is
That's
automatic right
90% of
now.
Edmonton's points. And
And if you look at the box score, a lot of his points are secondary assists. Like he's not. I mean,
he's
it's still
not
Connor
making the
McDavid.
plays. He's just facilitating. He's not
He's
making the
still
plays.
playing like a great player, but he's better than a great player. He is the best player. So start. You know what I mean? He's not even the best player in his team right now. I mean,
I agree. I
Draisaitl
agree
is.
that right now, if we were given a consummate, if say Edmonton wins it all, we're given a consummate, it's going to Draisaitl 10 times out of 10 before it's going to McDavid right now.
McDavid's probably not even second. Evan Bouchard's been nuts.
Yes, he has like 11 points and as a
Yeah.
defenseman. But yeah, I totally agree. So yeah, I was boring. I did every single one of my um picks in 6. Brandon went a bit of a different route. So I have Leafs in 6, I got Stars in 6, I got Hurricanes in 6, I got Vegas in 6.
Yeah. I got um. Geez, I got Leafs in 6. Yeah, I did. I got I had Devils in 6. I got the Stars in 6, and then Edmonton in 7. Have you been looking at playoff scoring and playoff stats? Do you know them?
Somewhat.
Okay, good. I can quiz you on them.
Okay, I was gonna go over the awards too quickly and make your picks because all the
Okay.
finalists were announced.
Oh, were they? We can do that in a sec. This will be quick.
Hey, you go ahead then.
Who is leading the NHL in playoff scoring right now? There's a tie.
The tie between two players.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
With
Let me get.
15 points.
Okay, is one Matthew Tkachuk?
One is Matthew Tkachuk.
Okay.
I would not have guessed that.
You wouldn't have guessed Tkachuk? I know he had like 11 points in 7 games in the
I didn't
Bruins.
even know that. And I was watching every game. It just didn't even seem like that.
He
But
was all
I
over
know
the
he
place.
was the best player, but I didn't think he was putting up points like that.
Is it Draisaitl, the other one?
It is Draisaitl. It is
Yeah.
Draisaitl. Right behind him is Rupe Hintz.
Rupe.
Obviously I just said Leon Draisaitl has 11 goals already, so you know that's first.
Yeah.
Who had the Draisaitl tied this guy, so I'm not taking Draisaitl as an option. Who scored the most goals in the first round?
Can you
Draisaitl
tell
tied
me how
this guy.
many Draisaitl had in the first round?
7.
7. I know it's not Tkachuk. I know he had 5 goals, I think.
Yeah, somebody had 7.
7. I didn't watch much of that. Oh no, there's no way he got 7 goals in that series. But I was gonna say I didn't watch much of that, the Golden Knights Winnipeg series.
Definitely wasn't in that one.
No, I didn't think it was.
This series went 7 games.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's a New Jersey player. Oh, Kreider.
Kreider had 6. Kreider had
Oh,
6.
shoot. Is it a New
Mikko
Jersey
Rantanen.
player? Am I in the right series?
Mikko Rantanen. Mikko Rantanen.
Oh, he had 7?
He had
Really?
7.
Wow.
Now another
I
one,
went like under
which
the radar.
yeah, and I'm looking at this right now, and this is crazy. There is somebody who is third in playoff scoring right now as a defenseman in just goals, purely goals.
Morgan Riley?
Brandon Montour.
Oh yes. Yeah, he's been a monster. A monster,
Yeah,
if you would.
Montour. One that you will, I don't think you will get correctly. Who is leading the playoffs in plus minus?
That's
I
a
would have never guessed.
that's a hard stat to guess in the playoffs.
Yeah, who's? Yeah, I don't know. I would have never guessed this because you would think it would be somebody who played in a short series, and you know what I mean. But
Is it like Ryan O'Reilly? I feel like he'd be a plus minus
it's
guy.
Morgan Riley.
Okay, I was in the right team.
Yeah, that surprised me. That surprises me a lot. Um,
Justin Hall,
two goalies have gotten a shutout in this playoffs. Do you know both of them?
Jake Ottinger,
Mm-hmm.
and Schmid.
Yeah, and he's got 2 of them.
Yeah.
Okay, last one in the playoffs. Who is which goalie has faced the most shots?
Wow. Okay, it's not Bobrovsky. He didn't play a full series. Watch it be Bobrovsky. He didn't even play a full series.
Bobrovsky hasn't played a full series and he's 4th.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Oh, it's gonna be another team that went 7. Let's go Philip Grubauer
It is Philip Grubauer. Philip Grubauer has faced 303 shots
in 7 in what 8 games?
in 9
9
games.
games. No. Yeah.
Yeah, in 9 games. Jake Ottinger, who
He was up there too. I was gonna pick.
has faced 49 less shots, and
He's
he's
in
in second.
second. Wow.
Like that's the difference. Seattle's just letting the puck hit him.
Hmm.
That's crazy.
No kidding.
Here's I got one last one for you.
Yep.
Which goalie has faced the least amount of shots? If you think about it, there's a very simple answer.
Yeah, my I have one in my mind, but I don't know if it's that obvious. Okay,
Probably
let's go.
is.
Laurent Brossoit.
It's not.
What?
It is Marc-Andre Fleury.
He played 1 game.
Yeah, yeah. And he stopped 37 pucks.
Oh, jeez. I didn't,
I had to ask it
I
to you
thought
because
we were going like a minimum games played.
he's your goalie. Okay, in the second round, let me check. Because if you're right, if he's in the bottom of the second round, I'll count it. I won't count Jersey goalies because they've split. In teams still in the playoffs, you would be correct. You'd be correct. He's faced 180 shots.
That doesn't seem like very much.
That's not a lot at all. That's about half the shots Grubauer's faced almost.
Huh. Okay, so the only three awards that aren't there's five awards, sorry, that aren't released. The Hart, the Ted Lindsay, the Vesna, Bill Masterton, and the Jack Adams. But the Lady Bing is award. It's the best sportsmanship and like contact while still playing at a high ability. Those three nominees are Jack Hughes, Anze Kopitar, and Braden Point. So it's basically who plays at a high level, doesn't take very many penalties.
It'll probably be Jack Hughes, right? I would assume. He's the most
Took,
electric.
he took one penalty all year and had the most points out of those three.
Yeah, that's why I picked Jack Hughes because he had the most points, and I'm assuming if all three of those guys get nominated, they all have little penalty minutes. So
100%, definitely.
he's got the most points.
But Frank J. Selke, which is the most defensive forward, Patrice Bergeron, Nico Hischier, and Mitch Marner.
I think it's interesting that Mitch Marner gets nominated for that because when Mike Babcock was the coach, Mitch Marner played like 20 so games on the fourth line because he was told he wasn't good enough defensively, which is funny. Um, but I mean, I'd be dumb to say that Patrice Bergeron's gonna win the Patrice Bergeron award.
I was
So
about to say this award, once Bergeron retires, it's got to be renamed the Patrice
exactly,
Bergeron
it
Award.
won't be the Selkie in 10 years.
No. The Calder, we have Matty Beniers from the Kraken, Owen Power from the Sabres, and Stuart Skinner from the Oilers.
I think Matty Beniers is going to run away with this trophy, but I feel like Stuart Skinner deserves a lot more votes than he's probably going to get because
More.
they were not in a playoff spot when Jack Campbell was playing starting goalie for this team. And Stuart Skinner comes in. He's got a lot of pressure on him, obviously being on a Canadian team that just made the conference finals with Connor McDavid, the best player in the world, on it. And they're asking you to come in and play amazing hockey to get him back in a playoff spot, and he did exactly that. He looked amazing.
I definitely agree. And the biggest one that's been announced so far is the Norris Trophy, which is the best defenseman. We have Adam Fox of the Rangers, Eric Carlson of the Sharks, and Cale Makar of the Avalanche.
It's such I hate this trophy, to be honest with you. I feel like if they're gonna do a defensive trophy, they should make two of them, best offensive and best defensive, because basically what this award is best offensive defenseman. Because Eric Carlson's gonna win this award because he put up numbers no defenseman has put up in a very long time. And but his plus minus is terrible. Like he's not a good defensive defense. He's
No,
like in defensive, like if you're talking about a defenseman, he's actually a bad defenseman, but he's gonna win best defenseman in the league. I don't know if you
couldn't
agree
agree.
with
I
me.
definitely think he's gonna win it, but I agree what you said. He's was in the 1 percentile, the first percentile in defensive effective war, which means 99% of defensemen were better than him at defending.
But he's gonna get the best defenseman award. So
It doesn't
I don't
really
know.
make sense.
They got to make two awards, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think we can take a guess at who's gonna win the Hart Trophy. Obviously, McDavid had a
I don't think there's any
amazing year. He
argument
put up
there.
160 points. Um, the one that's interesting is the Jack Adams. I don't know who's going to get it, but I think that the Seattle Kraken coach, Dave Haxtell, I think he is my number one pick, taking a team that went from being in the lottery to being in the playoffs and even in the second round. I know it's a regular season award, but the fact that the Seattle Kraken made it in their second year, I think should go to him.
I totally agree. I think he could definitely win it. Has there been nominees yet?
No,
No. Okay, so we can fire off anyone. Obviously, I'm terrible with names. The Boston coach
Jim
is gonna get a
Montgomery.
lot of love. Is gonna get a lot of love for his because obviously best regular season record. But if I had to give it out, I might pick the Devils, just the Devils coach.
Lindy Ruff.
Lindsey Ruff, that's his name. Because like you said, they were a little bit better than Seattle last year, but not by much. And Yeah, Seattle made the playoffs in their second year, but not taking anything against it. But they were a wild card team compared to the Devils, who were 1 point away from being first place in their division
Yeah,
one
and
year after not
so
being much higher.
I think those would be our three candidates: Seattle, Dave Haxtell; Devils, Lindy Ruff;
Yeah,
and the Bruins and Jim Montgomery. I think those are three solid candidates
yeah, I'd
for
be
sure.
okay with either one of those.
Me too. All right, I think that'll do it for today. We'll be back next week to either talk about the third round or whatever the heck else we decide to talk about.
Yeah.
So if you
Well,
guys
I mean,
enjoyed,
look behind Noah. It's so nice outside. We gotta go golfing.
oh yeah, we are going golfing.
It's so nice out.
But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and we will be back next weekend with another episode.
See ya.